Welcome to the Bob Jeswald Show this week. Oh, another good week. But you know, when this podcast was aired, this is winding down the 2021 year. And it doesn't really matter what year we're talking about here because we're coming up on the holiday season and New Year's resolutions. Have you thought about that? Like, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then you kind of make a goal. You don't know where you're going with this. You think of resolutions, they don't work. Seriously, we're talking about resolutions don't work. There's a way to approach it. And there's a scientific nature that goes behind it. I want you to learn more about it. That's all coming up on the Bob Jeswald Show.
Personal power, people positive, the community of connection. This is the Bob Jeswald Show.
So before you go out and purchase one of those memberships that get you in shape, whatever it may be, you got to lose weight, you want to do this, all that resolution stuff going on. There's a way to approach it. There's a right way of looking at it. And it comes with one goal in mind, and it's coming up right now with our exercise science professor, Doc Hickey, and, of course, my colleague here right next to me, Joanne Kogel. Excited as could be. No coffee, no nut. Did you have coffee today?
I have had 3-4 cups.
Amazing. I have to ask that question all the time. Yeah. How is she so relaxed? I don't know. Maybe we need to ask somebody who's an exercise professor.
4:00 in the morning.
That's right. Well, we got Doc Hickey in the house, all the way down right here at Florida A&M. And again, he's into the mechanics of exercise and science and much more. I mean, you're the expert, and he does so much when it comes to physical fitness, along with our, of course, trainer expert, Joanne, which we all know. So again, I want to welcome Doc. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob, and thank you, Joanne. It was just a couple days I saw you up there in Columbus at the Santa Claus Classic 10K Sunday night.
We'll make sure you get your award. And Doc was a winner.
Oh, Doc did come up a winner. I wouldn't expect anything less in his age group or overall. Top 3.
7th overall.
Way to go, Doc. You get a nutcracker.
Probably ran so fast you couldn't even see the lights.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, I saw some of the lights. It
was still daylight. The sun hadn't set yet, Joanne.
Yeah,
I was like, these fast runners are missing. I'm like kind of going at an 8:55 pace, shooting the whole thing, trying to shoot as much as I could. I had the phone like this running.
I saw that.
Yeah, the best I could. But they did that vertical thing on me. Facebook drives me crazy. Love it. But, at times I just despise it. It's like, how can it do that to me? My phone was not locked, but for somehow or another, it put it at a weird angle. So you'd have to take your mobile device and kind of move it like this, so at least it's the right way. But it seemed like we got thousands of views, so that was good. So that was good. So,
yes.
I got to tell you something. It was a lot of fun. You're not kidding. That was at Callaway Gardens. And speaking of which, as part of Joanne Kogel runs the fitness series at Callaway Gardens, and kicking off in January, we got the Patriot Challenge going to be up there at Callaway again, kicking off the 2022 year. And we're speaking of the new year, and we kind of quipped about this, Doc. You've been saying this, and Joanne, what about resolutions? They're kind of passé. I mean, is it really something that's worth anyone getting behind? What's a better way of looking at that and maybe taking it at a different approach, maybe?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Bob. When we look at New Year's resolutions, the first thing is that right now, if we want to make a behavior change, our cards are stacked against us. We have the first thing we look at is we got seasonal affective disorder going on right now. The time change sets our circadian rhythm, which is the natural rhythm of our sleep and wake. That's going to be off a little bit. And then the days are getting shorter. We're coming up on the shortest day of the year. And so our normal biorhythms are going to be a little bit low. The second thing that we take a look at with why the deck is stacked against us is going to be the stress of the holidays, where not only do we have to do our normal activities of daily life, the things that we do each day to keep the train moving forward, but we're also going to add on a lot of other responsibilities and a lot of outside stressors. And for example, relatives coming to visit, what are we going to cook for the dinners? How are the travel? And so these all create stress. And when we take a look at stress is stress, whether it's a physiological stress from a workout, or a physiological stress from a race, or a psychological stressor from any of the things that I've just rattled off. And when we look at the body, and I'm looking right here, neck up, neck down, neck up knows that it can distinguish between my physiological and my psychological stressors. Neck down has no idea what's going on, whether it's a psychological stressor of in-laws coming to visit, or for my students right now, they're wrapping up the semester, they're taking exams, writing papers. The body is going to undergo the same physiological processes, whether it's a psychological stressor or whether we're standing on the starting line of the Santa Claus Classic 10K, getting ready for that gun to go. We're going to go into that fight or flight state. When we look at we have a nervous system called the autonomic nervous system in the body. Autonomic is synonymous with automatic, and there's going to be two branches, parasympathetic and sympathetic. The parasympathetic branch is the rest and digest branch. The sympathetic branch is the fight or flight branch. When we are under stress, our sympathetic branch is upregulated and our body prepares for action. So when we look at this in terms of the myth of the New Year's resolution, we are going to be physically and mentally tired to an extent going into New Year's Day. And now, because, hey, it's a brand new year, the calendar changes, we're going to have some resolution where we're going to reinvent our lives in a week, 2 weeks, and what we're doing is setting ourselves up for failure.
You know, I laugh at this because I remember years ago, you always think about people right after the New Year day, and you say, oh gosh, all these people in the gym, and you know, Joanne owns a gym, and it's like you never see them, and I'm like, gosh, I have no room. I got to get on this exercise. So you can tell this person, and you don't want to. You want to be encouraging, and you go, well, right, don't worry, in a couple weeks they'll be all gone anyway. Is that part of that too? Because it creates like a crash and burnout then, because then people, you get so excited about it, and then you're like, well, I mean, Joanne, you probably see it too sometimes, but you probably are encouraging.
We're a little different. We don't see our big rush until February.
Okay.
It's usually because they figured out other places don't work.
So. Yeah.
Right.
But you know,
but
I mean,
we're a boutique. So
yeah.
It's different than a Globo gym.
And that's where I think you see that a lot at those type of gyms, because it's more, not saying people are, I don't want to say semi-trained or been exposed more professional type of athleticism. You can get that, but you do kind of see those people that come pouring in. Perhaps like I can look from the waist down, not judging, but it's like they haven't been in a gym in a long time. But we want to get people that are listening to this out of that scope and not be one of those people. How do we get them not to be one of those people?
That's a great point. And so the first thing to do is to not go to the Globo gym to sign up on the first day of the year.
Okay.
When I was working, I worked at a Globo gym for a year between my master's degree and my doctoral degree. And on January 1st, I made more money as a personal trainer selling personal training packages than I did in the entire month of June. And when you're, what am I, 25, 26, something like that, and you're making money hand over fist, you're like, this is great. But then when I look back at it, I feel bad for the people that signed up and then used one or two sessions. Because when we take a look at how do we make a lasting change, we need to run through a series of steps, just like everything else that we do. If we're training for a race, whatever event it may be, we need to run through our progressions, and we get into trouble when we skip steps. So there's 6 stages of change. You have your pre-contemplation, your contemplation, your preparation or determination stage, action stage, maintenance stage, and then if it's a negative health behavior, we're looking at a termination stage. But when we're looking at health, it's going to be pre-contemplation, contemplation, determination, action, maintenance. And one of the things that we look at to make sure that a behavior change is going to stick is to realize that we need to go through all these steps sequentially. right now, let's take a look at a hypothetical person who's not even thinking about engaging in exercise right now. They're sitting at Krispy Kreme, and they got donut number 3 in, maybe coffee number 2 in, and they're enjoying their life and doing their thing. And then all of a sudden, on New Year's Eve, they're going to say, you know what? This is the year I get in shape. 2022 is going to be my year. And I'm going to set my alarm for 8 in the morning. I'm going to be the first one down at the Globo gym, and I'm going to sign up. And they do that. And then they meet with their trainer probably that day, and they say, I'm going to work out 5 days a week for an hour. And as a trainer, I saw that. I saw people that would go from 0 to 5 days a week for an hour, and it's just not sustainable. So what we need to do is go through a contemplation phase where we are going to think about the behavior change. We're going to think about the pros and the cons, and we'll make a list. And if the pros are better than the cons, then we're going to do it. If the pros are less than the cons, we're not going to make that change. So we go through that contemplation phase, and maybe that's something that we do on January 1st. Maybe on January 1st, we sit down and we say, all right, for the next week, the next 2 weeks, I'm going to think about making the behavior change, contemplation, and then go through my preparation and my determination phase, read about it, find inspirational stories, attach meaning to it, come up with your why. Why am I going to do this? A lot of behavior changes don't take place, or they start and then fail because the why isn't strong enough. You know, like in the strength coach biz, you got to know your why. So those would be the first few things to do in the first couple of weeks of 2022. Think about it and begin to prepare for it.
Joanne, is this something that you can get behind, or is it what you see a lot? Or, you know, as a boutique type gym that you kind of host? I mean, you seem to have the folks that come, they already have the why. I mean, they know whether they're active duty, they just got back, or somebody who was injured, you kind of train some of those folks up, women who maybe just want to make a lifestyle change, or is it any of that going on? Or
well, I mean, in our industry, so I own a CrossFit gym, or a strength and conditioning gym, if you don't want to be on the CrossFit side. And we usually see our big boom in February when people go to the Globo gym and they have all the same things that Doc just talked about, and they realize that they need a little bit of hand holding and a little bit of motivation from coaches or from a small group environment or a personal trainer. And by February, they've paid their bills. They've kind of done a little bit of self-discovery, and then they come and see us. And then, our retention of involving people, getting involved in people's lives and holding them accountable is a little bit different and a little bit more involved than your Globo gym that sees 3,000 to 5,000 people a day.
And you think, because it's a lot of times those gyms are more about the numbers, more we get in, it's a sales thing, get them in, get it. But we want to retain people. It's just like anything. If you can get somebody to do that, then you have a scholar of just being a specialist in the gym, or somebody who can help somebody else. Because I think if you see somebody, you'd say, hey, I want what she has or what they have. And the reason why I say that, Siegfried and Roy, when I lived in Las Vegas, I worked out at a place off of Spring Mountain. And it was a Globo gym, so to speak, but it had a little flair to it. It had like a little area where you can go get something to drink when you're done. It wasn't the Bally's thing from the 70s, but it was similar to that type setup. But Siegfried and Roy work out there, and it was Siegfried that was there. And I'll never forget, I was working out with a buddy of mine. I was rowing or doing something. I was really into it. I had a routine. And he looked, he goes, I want to do what he's doing. I want to do what he's doing. And I thought that was funny because I'm thinking I'm far from it. But I did. I was training. I was doing more of the bodybuilding type stuff. And, I got out of that after injuries and stuff like that, and I'm more cardio. And as you guys know, I don't do as much running as everyone thinks, but I do more cardio, swim, and that. And I incorporate
every time
weights.
I talk to you, Bob,
and every time she calls me, I'm running. I don't know. It's just what's the odds of that?
Always running.
But it is. But when you think about it, you go to the gym and you do look at other people. I do, and you kind of see what they're doing. Sometimes you do at those gyms. Specialty gyms, people are going to say, "Well, I can't afford them, doc." So, how do we get? There's still a niche there, and I know Joanne's going to jump on this in a second. But that's what I hear from a lot of the kids, and But it would be beneficial for them, isn't that true? Wouldn't it be better to go to a gym like Joanne or go to these other gyms? And I'm not putting, because there's people out there, those gyms are good. But I mean, for someone who doesn't know the why.
Right. Here's another key adage: those that pay attention.
Okay.
So what that means is that if I am new in working out, and if we were to go, let's pretend that I'm not a exercise science professor. Let's pretend I'm a philosophy professor, and I know what it took in terms of knowledge, in terms of mentorship, to get to where I am now as a philosophy professor. Now I want to get in shape. Well, what I need to do is recreate that model of success. And what do? I go out and I find a mentor. I go to Joanne's gym, because there's my mentor. There's somebody that's going to hold me accountable. There's somebody that is knowledgeable, that is trained, that's an expert in human performance, and she's going to lead me to the promised land. She's going to lead me to my promised land. It's going to be my own journey. Joanne's been there. Joanne's been on many fitness journeys, and Joanne's going to say, "Oh yeah, that mountain right there. Yeah, I know how to get you there. You're going to do this, 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 and this with me to prepare. And then I'm going to send you up that trail, and you're going to finish the rest of it on your own. Here's my cell phone. If you get lost, give me a call." And that's what we're looking at with this high-end mentoring, where those that pay attention. And then the other thing that we look at with exercise is I'm going to go down a rabbit hole a little bit right now, but the whole concept of exercise as medicine, right? If we invest in our own personal beings right now, we are going to extend the quality of a life, not just the years in our lives, but the lives in our years, so that we can be like my parents, who are completely independent at 88 years old. My dad's out mowing the lawn, and he's in upstate New York, so he's probably up there shoveling the snow now.
That's
too.
right. All year round. It never stops snowing in upstate New York.
It doesn't.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't. But yeah, so that's where and then the other thing that we look at is with finances. People will use that as an excuse but they'll go and spend the same amount of money on something else that's going to drag their health down.
That's my favorite.
That's cool. That's the psychology of that, which I was trying to wrap my head around it. It's a great way for someone out there who I don't say use an excuse, but to say that. I mean, if you're not, I can't afford, I can't pay, then you're not, because if you're going to find it and invest in yourself, this is longevity. It gives you so much. It's like the fitness for life concept, right. And I'm quoting, Bill Phillips or somebody like that, who just, look, this is body for life, or there's, I mean, there's all these different little phrases. I think that was the right one. I was thinking was body for life, but it's like, we have to invest in ourselves to do it. And there's different gyms for everybody. We talked about this last week with Joanne a little bit. And Joanne said, not everybody who comes to her place, and Joanne, correct me if what you said, and you may not say you're going to turn them away, right. But you may say, this may not be for you. This is what you need. And this is, so there's that many specialty right. gyms that are out there. And so anybody listening, that might be a great opportunity for you to take advantage of. I want everybody to feel good and go. I mean, when you go to some of those other gyms, maybe out of convenience, and there's 3,000 people there, and there's 3,000 machines, but you have one trainer kind of walking around with a spray bottle cleaning up. Maybe that's the gym for you because you're just looking to get cardio, and you're somebody who's already into that. Look, I just need a place to kind of get my body, get the blood pumping, and maybe I want to specialize in something. I see a lot of people with dual gym memberships too, for different places to get what they need out of it, right. A lot of times. And now that we know what your background is in, between you and Joanne, it's kind of interesting because somebody who's looking at it from the science of how everything works, you opened up with something pretty germane, I thought, and that feeling of below the neck and how those stresses go on in life and things of anticipation that could put you off from doing a resolution of some sort. So, maybe we're talking about physical fitness, but there's already, I'm going to quit smoking, but it's going to be this day. I'm going to stop drinking on that day, and I know, not from that kind of perspective, again, the stress enzymes go kind of haywire a little bit too. And I've noticed that. What does it do to people who are under the stress? If you can make any recommendations, let's not stress about a resolution. Let's get a plan. Let's make sure we know in our head where we're going to be and the why. And so what, where did this even come up with? Why is a New Year's resolution? I mean, I kind of laugh at that in a sense. I mean, it's just because do it today.
It's an arbitrary day.
Yeah.
So December 31st to January 1st, why not do it from, I don't know, September 17th to September 18th?
But dog, I've got so many holiday Christmas parties to go to, and
here we go. There we go. Yep.
And my mom's birthday is here, and then and my sister's birthday is here, and
I always say excuses,
then I
excuses,
gotta
and
go to this
more
work
excuses.
party, and my ankle hurts today.
Encyclopedia of excuses.
The moon's not in the right spot.
My back hurts. I'm sore. I can't get off the couch.
Right.
They do that. I come from a Italian-American family background, and somebody's going to get ticked at me here, pissed in a second, because my mom's going to listen to somebody, but I'm sorry. Mom, if you're listening.
Bobby.
I know. Yeah, you say
that's
Bobby.
not true.
But they do. This is exactly what my family does. And I love my Aunt Darley, my mom, but it goes right back to my grandmother and everybody. It's always like, hey, how you doing? Oh, God, it's terrible. I've been... Oh, God, my chest, I just can't, and excuses, I heard that my whole life, and I think that could be a lot why the way I am, because I'm like, hell, I can't do, that is not me, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to be different from that. That's my why, in a sense, like, this is why I do what I do, because I don't want to be like that. Not that they're not sedentary people, trust me. My mom, they can't sit still, that's where I get that from, but it's that psychological part is what I'm trying to get. That can be damning, where they could possibly do that. In fact, if they did that, it would relieve the stress. Like I've been, the stress, my stress hits me below the belt, and Joanne's sitting next to me. But I said this to her last week. It hits me. I'm a guy over 50. I'm 56. I'm not ashamed of that. And I got BPH. It's benign prostatitis hyperplasia or whatever, and it causes your prostate to inflame. When I get stressed, that's when my prostate acts up. It squeezes on urethra, and I can't pee. So then I got to start taking stuff. But I know.
Fun facts with Bob.
Quick shot at Joanne here real quick.
Fun facts.
But the exercise part of it, and that's what I'm trying to say to my family, they would make excuses why they can't go, Joanne and Doc. And when you do it, the stress goes away. That's right. My, people go, well, Bob, you're always going. How can you do it? That's the part where I decompress. And even if it's floating in Epsom salt at the Uptown Float, that's our local place. I give them a shout out here. They don't advertise or anything, but I'm just saying, it's incredible to release that stress. And when I ran with you guys this past Sunday from this podcast, Joanne didn't run. She had other things. She's a director.
She was busy.
She was busy.
A little busy.
A little busy. But for me, that is such a release. I can't explain. It's what is that? What endorphin? What creates that? You guys can talk about this. That people got to know. Just by getting even a walk, I'm not talking about people have to be a high-skilled athlete here, just walking or anything, the dopamine, what is going on to relieve that stress below the neck?
All right, so when we take a look at it, let's look primally a little bit. So zebras don't get ulcers. And zebras have the chemical adrenaline in zebras is real similar in composition to the human adrenaline. And why zebras don't get ulcers is they do what the adrenaline was designed to do, which is to make the zebra very, very fast. But for the human, adrenaline is made to make us really, really fast or really, really strong. By doing a workout after the day's over, like 5 o'clock, work's done, great. I'm going to the gym, or I'm going for a run. I'm going to be active. That is going to burn off the adrenaline that's built up over the course of the day. And so we're going to let the body do what it was designed to do. Because when we go back to that whole neck up, neck down, a physiological stressor is going to cause a release of adrenaline, just like a psychological or a mental stressor causes the release of adrenaline, because the body, neck down, has no idea whether it's a physical or a mental stressor. It just knows that homeostasis, which is the body's constant stable environment, has just been disrupted, whether it's because of a project at work, or an email, or a surprise meeting, or actually doing a workout, doing a sprint workout, or doing some heavy lifts. So if we do what the adrenaline was designed to do, which is physical activity, that's going to burn that off. And then we're going to be in a better headspace moving on through the rest of the night.
So the homeostasis should be in balance. It's kind of the state
Yes.
at all times. So we got to get the neck above and we got to get the neck below together. And that's
right.
Okay.
Got to get them on the same page. Now, you talked about what's one thing that somebody could do to start out with, say, today, right? I'm going to I'm fired up. We saw this podcast with Bob and Joanne and some other knucklehead from upstate New York.
No. Now he's down in Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's Tallahassee's problem now.
That's their problem. That's right.
Yeah. So the one thing that we can do is to look at our breathing. And when we look at the difference between nasal breathing and mouth breathing, nasal breathing has a better parasympathetic upregulation. So what that means in normal terms is that if we were to look at our adrenal glands and look at adrenaline, nasal breathing keeps the bees or the adrenaline in the hive better. So just nasal breathing.
See, I'm doing it right now. Did you catch that, Joanne?
You're breathing in and out of your nose. You're exhaling through your mouth.
Okay, I'm not supposed to do that though.
No.
Hang on, I'm doing it
In
right.
through the nose, out through the nose. And
so
that's hard to do. It's hard to do that. We don't do that.
It's very hard. But when we're doing that, we are turning on the resting branch of that automatic nervous system.
Okay.
And that's going to drop heart rate. It's going to drop blood pressure. The other thing it's going to do is clear our minds for better decision making. So just breathing in and out.
I'm loving it. So when the kids say something to me, I'm just going to look and they're going to think I'm on something. I'm going to be just like this. No, Dad, really, could we please go? Or could I please have so-and-so over?
Now you just look pissed.
Clear out the mind.
So then that doesn't work.
Right.
I'm trying, right?
It's that. So when we take a look at
everyone else's response is dopamine.
Dopamine.
Fight or flight. Fight or flight.
Dopamine, adrenaline.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so, that's fascinating. So age groups, anyone listening to this too, does it really matter? I mean, Dr. Gordy Borkat was on here weeks ago on one of these podcast episodes, 80 years old. He says, I'll never stop moving. When I do, I'm in trouble. He goes, I've been running. He still runs today marathons. Not that everybody's going to be a marathon runner, Joanne, but...
Are you saying that I'm not a marathon runner?
No, you're a triathlete.
I have run a marathon or two or three in my life.
She's done Ironman.
A little insulted.
She's done Ironman, which is more than she's got a marathon incorporated with hundreds of miles.
That's
of
on the
riding
back
bike.
end of a triathlon.
So ready? She just said it to me. I'm gonna breathe through my nose, Joanne.
Yeah, I'm gonna breathe through my nose all day, every day.
There you go. She does a good job at it. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, is there an age limit to this? Because anyone listening is saying, look, that old saying, hey, how you doing? To the old Italian, I could use Italian jokes here because I'm Italian, but hey, how you doing, Uncle Pete? Good. How are you? And my wife, she's been doing this, doing all that, everything, but I got a pain in my rear. But other than that, I can't complain. But you can complain. Because you're complaining, but don't complain if you go ahead and get the dopamine rocking. And that
Right.
would be through something like walking, running, biking, whatever,
Right.
gym, whatever. It's good for you.
Right.
Why not everybody do it? And I think, you know, and we all know that anybody does anything, you talk to your doctor first if you feel like you have any condition. We all know that. And that's, Joanne would tell that to her people, and I know you do that to your students. You talk to them, and you even train too on the side. It's part of who you are. And so, you know, who are your clients? I mean, who do you see? Who are the clients that we should be after right now?
Anybody that wants to make a change.
Bingo. Okay.
Anybody that wants to get better.
I think you have to have some sort of you have to have some level of intrinsic motivation.
Right.
So I mean, and without that, you're not going to make, whether you believe in New Year's resolutions or not. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
You have to have some level of desire to do something.
And of course, for the purpose of the podcast, we're getting close to that time of year, and just want to kind of debunk that and hopefully get people to kind of transition to, you know, in the space of what we're talking about. Make this September 17th to September 18th and do the doggone thing. Come in with the why, you know?
Or maybe March 1st or something.
Yeah.
First day of spring.
Beware
I mean,
the
that's
Ides of
one of
First
the
day of
things with
spring.
action is that you do set a date. So for example, they sign up for Joanne's 5K at Callaway Gardens the last Saturday of January. That would be, and then that would be something that
I'm
would be
impressed you know that date.
Look at,
Don.
she knows the date.
doable.
It could have been because somebody had a microphone Saturday saying, "Hey, don't
Did you
forget to
register already?
try Columbus."
It's on the calendar. I got
Alright,
to
you
figure out
should
which one I'm
register.
going to do.
Are you going to do
Am
the
I going
marathon
5K
half?
or half marathon?
Oh, the half marathon.
The half's fun. It's got to be.
You're already halfway there after the weekend.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You'll be fine.
Of course, those are the ones that Joanne doesn't let me participate. Except but I have fun anyway. I get to see everybody finish and start.
Yeah.
And then one of the things also with goals is and like there's one side of the coin that says tell people your goals, and then there's another side of the coin that says don't tell people your goals. If you tell people what your goals are, then you have people that may hold you accountable toward your progress. But there's on the other side of the coin, there's that philosophy where if I tell you what my goal is and you tell me, you give me reinforcement, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Oh, you've always wanted to do X, Y, and Z. I've always wanted to do that too, but I'm too scared to do it. Man, you're going to do it. That's great. That just gave you reinforcement.
I like that.
For something that you haven't even done yet. So that may be all the reinforcement that you want. And so now you're not going to chase your goal because, hey, everybody's reinforcing me about even wanting to do this. So for me, it's especially with my fitness goals, I don't tell anybody. I got them inside. I'm not telling anybody. And then, you know, it's just a real personal thing for me. You know,
I mean, but what do when you talk to your students, how does someone go to you know, I know if you go to Florida A&M and you're down there and you're specializing in some kind of, you know, you're doing something in that arena where you want to do physical science and mechanics and things like that. I mean, they're there for what? What are they hoping to get out of it? Are these people that they're not all going to be exercise gurus, or they're not looking at that, but what would you how do you get them motivated? Do you use any of that?
Yeah, my students are majority thinking about going into coaching, thinking about going into teaching, strength and conditioning. Some of them are pre-rehabilitative science, as I call it. So they're pre-PT, pre-occupational therapy, pre-chiropractor. I've had a few of my students have come through and gone on to medical school. A few of them have come through and gone on to physical therapy school. I just had two gentlemen that I had as undergrads graduate, and now they're doctors of physical therapy.
Wow,
and so with them, when I see them every day, and now they have entrusted me to a part of their journey. So they have said to me, Doc, my goal is to go get my doctorate in physical therapy. Okay, now you've empowered me to help you reach your goal. Now I'm going to hold your feet to the fire.
So if we circle back to you personally, and you keep all your goals intrinsic and to yourself, then who holds you accountable?
Me.
And do you fail? Well, like, what's your rate of failure? I'm a big proponent for telling at least one person. Like, I have a lot of my clients write down what their goals are for wherever they are. I mean, when they start doing exercise, part of their intake is, what is your goal? Or, if I've been working with them for a while, and we just use January, just not necessarily January 1st, but just January as January. And, what are your goals for this year? And they tell me, whether I tell the world, but at least then I can touch back with them March 1st and be like, yo, Bob, how's that goal working out? And Bob's going to be like, my ankle hurts and my mom's birthday's tomorrow, so I haven't been able to do it. And, give me all the excuses in the world, where I can come back and be like, yo, Bob, it was super important for you in January because of blah, blah, blah. And then he'll likely get back on. So I'm just curious why you keep it to yourself. I mean, and what your rate of failure is. Not that I think that you fail, but how many goals that you set do you not achieve? I'm just interested to know what. And it could not be related to you, but just to anybody.
I mean, it's the principle of individual response and knowing yourself.
Right.
And I'll tell my wife, my mom, and my dad what's going on.
Okay, see.
But yeah.
There it is. There it is. You tell one person?
Yeah, I tell a few.
Okay.
But
that's three.
That's what she was
trying to see how she did that.
Gotcha.
I keep it really tight.
That's okay. You can keep it tight, but I think it's super, super important that you tell at least one person what your goals are, or else you might as well just burn the paper.
Would you agree, Doc?
Yeah. I agree. There were a few back in the 90s, there was a ASICS did a running ad and for their shoes, and it said, at the end of the day, only one person cares if you ran today or not.
So cliche.
And it's going to be you.
There you are the next Instagram meme.
No.
There you're motivational with Doc. Dun, dun, dun,
dun. You know what? I slipped and I said Doc Holliday was going to be on today, and somebody goes, "Wow, really?"
Yeah, I'm sitting here Googling it. I'm like, huh, what? Who is this guy?
Hickey, not Holliday. Come on. But he's got that kind of motivation. He's fast on the draw. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, and not everybody's the same. Sure. I mean, but I would say, I would probably hazard. I'm sure there's some study out there, so I'd probably get beat up. But I would say that there's probably 98% of us should probably tell somebody.
Yeah.
I had a New Year's resolution a couple years ago that I never told anybody about, except for now I use it as talking points. And that was, you ready for it?
I'm ready for this. I'm only got me a bated breath there.
This is kind of like the fish from last time.
That was.
So my New Year's resolution was that I was always going to bring the cart back in the parking lot.
Okay.
That was my New Year's resolution.
Shame on Joanne.
From January 1st to December 31st, regardless of whether it was rain, snow, sleet, wind, hurricane, tornado, whatever it was, when I was shopping, I was going to bring that cart back. And you know what? On December 31st, I was like, well, look at that. I did it.
I always bring the cart back. I make an attempt just for the extra steps that I got to get. I'll walk purposely. I'll even take it to the extreme and take it back inside the store. Mostly, food stores is what I usually go to with carts. But I make a point to do that. But it's so you're saying before that.
Yeah, and then the other day I did not bring the cart back.
Did you put it in at least?
Shame on me. And I went, take that 2019.
Did you put it in the cart parking spot, so to speak?
Oh yeah, I mean back.
You just don't leave them.
Back to the even if it was at Publix or not at Publix, at TJ Maxx, you have to bring it back into the store. So regardless of whether I had to bring it back into the store or put it back in the parking spot in the parking lot, I brought that cart back.
How long has this been that you've been doing this resolution?
Oh no, it was only for 2019. I'm over it now.
Oh, so you're not doing.
Yeah, I don't do it anymore.
Those poor kids that work there, they're going to college, going to school.
I mean, I do.
And they're walking, they have to go in
it's-
there, and they
now
use those
it's-
little tracks, those little trucks with the little flashing light on. It looks like a train.
Oh, yeah.
I always want to operate one of those. And actually, I thought that'd be pretty cool. I said, if I had a job, I'd love to, because you feel like you're a
Now if
conductor
it's
of a
like
train.
pouring rain, I'm just like, so sorry, Walmart. I'm so
You get
sorry.
the flashing light.
So,
Joanne.
anyway, that
So
was
you're the
my
one.
New Year's
What was,
resolution.
who's the jerk who left that cart there, or the cart that just mysteriously moves, just with
Could have been
nobody
me.
behind it, and it just ding
But
hits
not.
the side of the cart.
My conscience was clear in 2019.
At least she's honest about it. That's part of her physiological.
Yeah,
well,
I just
what's-
wanted to see if I could do it. Because, I mean, I thought I was kind of thinking about New Year's resolutions, kind of like the conversation that we're having. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can stick with something for a whole year. So I picked something super, super easy and arbitrary.
But okay, so she did it, but then she kicked the. Why couldn't she hold it, Doc? Why,
I
what
could hold it. I was just like, done.
Yeah, but
Did
why?
it. Box
but she
checked.
Did, but shouldn't it be something being innate? Then it would just be something you just do from now on without even giving a second thought. She, for some reason, made a goal, and I'm doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just dropped. I mean, she just said, "Well, because I'm going to drop it now." What made her do that? I know this sounds crazy. What was it? Why doesn't she just stick with it then?
Well, now what's interesting is now she has a frame of reference.
Okay.
So if
Right.
she wanted to, if Joanne wanted to undergo a slightly larger task, something
Right.
that would be 1%, 2% harder than returning the shopping cart, you have
Yeah.
that frame of reference in the back of your head that says, "Oh, well, I did this for a year every time for a year.
Right.
I can do that for a year."
And I
every time.
mean, I really use it a lot in talking points to clients and people who are working out. And I'm like, look, if I can do this for a year, you can do this. Like, I mean, you bring the cart. I mean, I'm bringing the cart back like maybe 3 days a week. I mean, you can take the stairs for 3 days a week.
It paints an attainable goal. I can see exactly what she's saying. If she can do that, then why can't I do
Right.
X, Y,
And
and Z?
it does help me because I think a lot of trainers struggle with this, or a lot of people who are already in the fitness world, or a lot of people that run like Bob, when you're setting goals, to set these lofty high goals, and people are like, well, Bob, I can't run a half marathon. I can't go out to Callaway and run up and down that hill that exists now. I can't do that. So, why would I even start? And so I use the shopping cart a lot, because it's just like, look, you can do the 20 steps, or maybe it's across the parking lot, or maybe it's
Sure.
back into the store. You just have to decide that you want to do it.
I like riding the cart. I get a jumping start. My kids always laugh. They think I look like a big kid. I'll start running about 5 miles an hour, and I'll jump on it and kind of coast a little bit and try to stare, hit a couple bumps and that.
I'm
It's just some
sure
fun.
their Walmart, their legal teams love you.
Oh, watch out for that guy. That's right. Here comes that suit.
There he comes.
If I can help him, I can help you. I got him big bucks, but whatever it takes. I just think when it comes to the gym, the weightlifting, the biking, the hiking, the rucking, we haven't even gotten into the obvious where you are right now. Well, it's your virtual background, but it does signal you had a thirst and a love for ice. That's what originally brought you down into the mid '90s down there in Tallahassee to participate in kind of an Olympic strategy kind of thing for an ice skater, or
No.
ice hockey?
It was, yeah. So, we'll touch on that for a minute.
Yeah.
So another thing we look at with goal setting and achieving stuff is that you got to do hard stuff.
Okay,
You
that's
got,
good.
because
I like that, yeah.
you need a reference point. So, I grew up playing hockey. This is Union College in Schenectady, and that taught me. So one day at practice, I get off the ice and I wasn't sweating. I was young. I was maybe middle school. And I get off the ice and I'm not sweating. My parents, we had to hustle. We had to we delivered papers after practice so I could afford to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I get off the ice and I had a dry head, which meant I wasn't sweating, which meant I didn't work hard enough. So, get off the ice with my dad, we gear up, head out to the truck. and get in the truck. My dad takes my hat off, runs his hand through my hair, and he says, "The head's dry." And I said, "Yes, sir, it is." And he says, "Yeah, you're not sweating. That means you didn't work hard enough."
Wow.
And then he says to me, "The next time you get off the ice with a dry head is the last time you're getting off the ice, because I'm not going to bring you again."
Wow.
And I was like, whoa.
That seems brutal.
And so
oh,
I took that,
I
took that
Yeah.
advice,
Wow.
and like that's like my modus operandi for my life. And for example, I was on the USA national duathlon team for Worlds for my age group a bunch of years.
Right.
And every year going to the race, my pre-race bag was my hockey bag from like 1980, just to remind me that I'm not getting off the ice with a dry head. I'm not getting off this course with a dry head. So then when we, that's where my athletic journey really started. And then I morphed into track, and right around the corner from the field house, or right around the corner from the rink, is the track where I won my first college race.
Right.
And then I came down here, and long story short, we talk about doing hard stuff. 2004, I did the Olympic trials in the time trial in bike racing.
And then hence you become a fantastic athlete up in this neck of the woods, the region, for the Tri-Columbus GA series from Callaway to Chattahoochee. Yeah.
Run Bike Doc.
Yeah.
And actually,
I like that.
We the Olympic race at Callaway Gardens was a very, when we look at goal setting, and what if I set a goal that's too high and I miss? And so the race for me at Callaway Gardens, the Olympic, my goal was to win the overall. And that race is for the duathlon. And that race is, it's a little bit beyond my racing distance. And I didn't win the overall that day, but I won the 50 plus group. And I was so upset that I didn't win the overall that I didn't enjoy the 50 plus win. So when I got back from the race, and you unpack it and you process it and you say, you know what? I got to race. I got to stay in my weight class. So what I need to do is focus on beating all the 50-year-olds. And if I'm beating all the 50-year-olds, and it just so happens that I beat the 30-year-olds, then that's cool. But to keep it into perspective that, hey man, I'm 53. So I'm going to beat the 50-year-olds. Because when we take a look at human performance, once you hit 30 years old, your power, speed, and endurance drop by 1% per year. That's why I like the race on Saturday was so good. It was a very special race for me because I ran just within a handful of seconds on Saturday what I ran in my very first 10K when I was 18.
That's big. So isn't there a calculator? It's okay to see some loss in not only strength but loss of endurance, or loss. Is that we know that would be kind of typical, and then in a way to measure it and say, hey, even though you're not doing what you did when you're 18 and you're 53, by golly, but you're in exactly where you're still in a good spot for a 53-year-old.
Exactly.
Is there a calculation of that? So that's okay, but in your case, that's just profound. I mean, this is great. You're going back. It's like you're reverting back to your teenage years. I mean, you don't hear that very often. I sure as heck know it's not me. I can tell you that. I mean, I was 21 5Ks. I'm a 5. I did that. It was 59 minutes, but I was the back of the line, and I kept passing people. That's my goal and motivation. Even though I was shooting with a camera, I start at the very back and take one person out at a time.
Yeah.
I like just doing it. It gives me a feeling of, hey, I'm making progress and I'm passing people. Although the time may not be great, but it's a feeling of I feel like I'm doing pretty good here, and I can talk to people on the way. But
the time is great for you.
Right. For me, right.
For you.
Right.
It's your
Yes.
It's your personal goal, your personal identification with that.
I want to go back till I was 18. Is that possible? Is that is that a goal that I should be looking at? Or is that just something that is just freak of nature?
No, I mean it's you know, if you take a look at you know, distance running performance, is that at 18, if you run a certain time, and then you'll get faster and faster if you are dedicated, if this is your pursuit, right? This is the thing that's your avocation. And you'll get fast up to about 30 years old. And then once you hit 30, it's a slow decline because the body just
downhill from there.
I knew she's looking. She turns and looks at me.
You know, your number one enemy is your birth certificate.
Yeah, so it is, because people say that. I don't mean to interrupt you. You know, when they say that, what do you say to them when they say, "Well, you know, Bob, you know, you're not." You know, my father says, "Here, last time I looked, I'm looking at you on Facebook. You're not like 25. You're 50. You know, you're 56 now. Why do I have to prescribe that? Why? Or I? Should I?" Listen,
no, I mean it's the truth is that your number one enemy is your birth certificate. But you got to take your past and just walk it off the plank, make it walk the plank, because like 25-year-old me is gone. You know, every cell in my body is remade every 7 years. So like that person that was 25, I mean, how many iterations of that am I now? So it's about where I am now and what I'm going to do moving forward. And then if as you're moving forward and you, like for me on Saturday, I hit that mark and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. And then it gives you a little bit of motivation that, you know what, man, I can hit my goals.
I wish I would have seen you running. Do you run with a wide stride? I assume you do. The wider you are, the better off you are. That's what I find. People think when you do more choppier run. Some people do, but I do know people who almost shuffle. The older guys. I'm going to go back to the older category.
Yeah.
And they still come with incredible times, and they pass you.
Yeah.
Say, how in the heck is this guy passing me? And he's just.
He can't tell you all your secrets, Bob.
I know. Hey. I'm trying to get as much as I can. You can see where I'm going with this. But again, it's fascinating to see in timing races with Joanne and timing for other runs and stuff locally. You look at some of these people in age groups, and they blow away the 30-year-old age groups. Okay, they may not win overall, but they're beating out age groups that are 20 years younger, 30 years younger than them, which is crazy to me. And I'm not saying it could be these people are relatively new runners, but a lot of them I recognize, and they're almost and sometimes very competitive with them. Where somebody who's running like an incredible pace here, and then you look at how they compare to these other people, it's like, wow, you scratch your head and you're like, how in the heck is that possible? And it's like in fact, as I'm getting older, and at each age group I get older in, and I'll be pushing at 60, I can't beat these guys. It was easier when I was in my 40s, seriously, 30s and 40s.
Because they set New Year's resolutions.
Is that what it is? Is that what happened? The goal was set high. That's what they did, and they know the why, and that's always a good thing. But I think it's okay to know the place where you want to be. So if we tell anybody, people just got to know, the goal's good for you. We kind of came to a mutual agreement. You try to keep it in, don't share too many, but you tell one person, Joanne feels, one, two, your spouse, whatever, or whomever,
keep it in the
friend.
Circle.
Keep it in a circle. We'll agree on that.
The inner orbital when we're looking at electrons, right?
There you go.
Inner orbital.
Oh, I like that. I could see that. We can get into electrons and protons and neutrons, the whole thing. But I see what you're saying there and that type of thing. And we described it again to get that balance. Is I want to say not Homo sapien physio. What was it again?
Homeostasis.
Homeostasis. I love that word. I got to remember that, which means it's the state of being in one spot. It's like a black
constant stable environment.
Stable environment. Okay, that's like when we say in meteorological science, when you look at something, if you took no gravity, no this, you used to call it like a black body, and it should just be stable, and it's there, and you build an equation off of that.
Here we go.
Look at Joanne, and we build off that equation.
We are circling into meteorology.
Whoa, somehow I always bring it back to that. But we do want to we want that balance, and we can branch off this. So it doesn't matter if Joe Smith does this time or Louise Wilson does this time. it's what's your personal goal. We want to continue to focus on that when you're going in to get your training or whatever it may be. But you need to be held accountable.
Right. And the main person is yourself, and then that's what these things are good for too, right? Here,
yes.
It's not coming up. There
I
it
see
is.
a little bit. Yeah, your medal there.
The watches.
Watch.
It's not a medal.
It's a medal monitor.
No.
It's not a medal
That's
monitor?
No,
Okay.
the medals are in the other room.
Oh, okay. There you go. Because I don't like time.
Next time's background.
I just don't like time. But we're not. But being silly, the watch is what keeps up all your
Yeah. So like
distance.
some sort of a wearable tech. When we go back to the stages of change, somebody that says, well, fitness is going to be improved fitness is going to be my goal for 2022. Maybe for Christmas, they get a Polar or a Fitbit or something that's going to track their daily activity. And they use January to set their baseline. Okay, I know that on average I take 6,000 steps a day. The recommended step for the day is 10,000 for my age group. But what I'm going to do is do 6,500 steps a day for a month. And then I'm going to gradually move that needle. So, the whole thing about goals, and that's why the racing biz is such a good thing, is that the things that get measured get done. I go to a race, like next year, I go to Callaway Gardens Christmas Classic 10K, and I run X and I place Y, and I compare that to what I did this year. And yeah, my training program worked. My hypothesis that if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get faster and I'm going to run better at next year's Christmas 10K. That's how we do it.
I like that. I mean, I think that makes sense. So what do we call? Isn't it still technically a kind of like a resolution of some sort, or do we give it another name? Should we get another name, guys? Should we coin another name instead of resolution? What else could we call it?
I would just be the day of contemplation. I don't know.
I call it the kickstart, but
kickstart, day of contemplation. What do you think, Dylan, our producer, young guy here? What do you think of that?
Yeah. He's still on
resolution.
Resolution.
Out of here.
He's a millennial.
Yeah, like
he's
that.
still on resolution.
Yeah, he's still.
I mean, my Planet Fitness resolutions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Give a little shout out there. But next time you go there, you know what to do. But I'll tell you, the mechanics of exercise are amazing. They really are. And boy, you really broke it down for us bit by bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the big takeaway is just slow down and think about what you want to accomplish, and then set a date and do it.
Sounds good. Joanne's open.
It's very simple.
Doc is open too. Doc, what do you need down there when people come to work out with you after class? Where do you go?
Oh, well, my athletes, we go to the track. We either go to the track or to the gym.
So you got the track right there at A&M. That's nice. That's nice. Very nice. We got full access to that. That's great. You don't have to pay, do you? Well, you do through your tuition, but that all comes together.
Yeah.
That sounds good. When we head down there, maybe we can go hit that track. It'll be fun.
You can.
I'd love it.
With my young guys, we talk about accountability. So I have two runners that I coach right now.
Wow.
I have two distance runners, and one of them is actually one of them just the first meet of the year was Friday, and he's currently ranked 34th in the nation for Division I in the mile.
Wow.
And so I'll get out there and I chase him around on my bike. So I'm on my bike yelling out splits, pacing them through their intervals, or pace them through their long runs. It's a circus.
Okay, so for track, when we start thinking track and field, we're not getting into 2,000 meters or anything there, 1,600 meter. You're talking about this is 1 mile.
These guys, my guy is I got JD is a miler, and then he's an 800 meter runner.
Okay.
And he's bumping up to the mile right now, and he's going to take a shot at the steeplechase in the spring.
Wow.
And then I got another guy, I give him the initial CJB, and he's a 400 meter runner that's bumping up to the 800 this year. And so it's a fascinating process working with these two gentlemen in terms of and it's a balance with health. Maximal use is abuse. How do I keep them from getting overuse injuries? How do I keep their strength, their muscular strength, muscular endurance, and that we just don't go all in on the running, because then they would get unhealthy.
Yeah, I want to finish on that note because, anyone who's doing something, that's the important part of all this. Some people get wrapped into, I know people who just run. They just run. They don't do CrossFit. They do nothing else. You got to get that core strengthened.
Right.
So we should have a balance if we're going to do that kind of physical exercise, whether it's cardio combined, we need to find a round balance of some sort.
Right.
And and if you're a specific athlete for track and field, go swim on the side. Go do CrossFit on some off days, or vice versa. If you're a CrossFit person, why not do a little bit more cardio and run and swim or bike or whatever? Yeah. So we need that. The human body needs that. We don't want to just do one constant motion constantly with one particular exercise.
Yeah, that's that principle of variation.
Okay.
And, you get, and it's something that you touched on earlier where people say, I don't feel like I used to. Well, you don't feel like you used to because you don't move like you used to. If you move like you used to, then you'll begin to feel like you used to, but it has to be an evolution, not a revolution. Gotcha. We're going to gradually move that needle. We're going to attack that 1%. And so in the weight room with my runners, I call that our athleticing days. Just kind of made up a word, athleticing.
Yeah, sure.
But
I like it.
But what do? Well, we run, we jump, we throw, we skip, we bound, we move side to side. We throw medicine balls at each other. We throw medicine balls at the wall, because it's essentially a play day, and we get a couple of those in for 30 minutes, and our body is moving in all different directions, which is going to give the limbs a different stimulus so that they grow in order to be strong in all different directions. That's what makes Joanne's high intensity, multimodal training, boutique training.
You're making
facility.
her blush. She's blushing.
I'm trying to stay away
It's
from that
hot in here.
one word. If you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
But
she says it's hot in here just to make a point. But she's got long
my
sleeve
vest is off.
a vest.
Yeah.
My
And
heated
leggings.
vest turned off.
She dresses like this all year round. You would never know when Joanne has that. People would assume, oh, she must be in a cold climate. She dresses like this in the summer, winter, fall, spring. She's.
I was going to ask, is it snowing up there? Or
You would
something?
think.
It's getting hot in here, though.
Yes,
but that's what makes Joanne's boutique fitness gym so key, because you develop those high intensity functional movements that if you are at a gym and if you have great intentions but not as good knowledge, and you're going to walk, you're going to be stuck in this side to side. Whereas when we start throwing things or going lateral movement, now we're involving the whole body, and some jumping, some bounding, and that's where we develop that total athletic portfolio, if you will. And that's going to be, it's so important just for what I call ADLs, activities of daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And because you never know. What's the other thing about fitness is the reason that we do it, especially as adults, is that you never know when you're going to need to be really, really fast, really, really strong physically, or really, really strong mentally. Is that at some point we are going to be called on to be strong, whether it's a physical strength or a mental strength. And we strengthen our minds through strengthening our bodies.
Keep that balance is what we got to start to get them both working back and forth together. This is a plethora of knowledge. It was fantastic. And of course, if Nelly was here right now, I'm talking about the singer, rapper, artist, you would say, it's getting hot in here. I don't want to take off all her clothes.
Oh, my goodness.
Joanne is sweating bullets
like
here. We got to get Joanne
going
out of
in
here.
all sorts of directions.
You know that.
All sorts of
But that's
directions.
exercising my mind. I'm trying to do variations. with this conversation. You get what I'm doing? Dylan, look at Dylan. Put yourself on camera. Look at shaking. He doesn't even want to. Dylan's shaking his head.
Dylan is on Team Joanne here.
He's on Team Joanne. I feel outnumbered.
He's
How about Doc? Are you with me on that? Are you with me, Doc? Just a little bit? Just a tit-tat? Be with me.
I think Doc is coming on
Doc,
Team
help me out
Joanne
here.
too.
Doc, come on, help me out. Prescribe me something good. But it's good. But anyway, no, that is fantastic. JoJo, do you have anything else you want to end with? Or?
No, I got nothing.
Excelente. Excellent information. This was fabulous. Doc, I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. Boy, you really pinpointed everything, knocked it out of the park. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and he's really not in Schenectady, ladies and gentlemen. He's actually in Tallahassee right now.
Tallahassee.
Even though he sees background, looks like something
my
from
happy
up north.
place.
It's your happy place. I remember that. I played ice hockey for years. I loved it. So anyway, we are excited about having this guest. And again, Doc Hickey, look him up. We got all the information underneath here. We're going to give you a link to Doc's page. He's going to stay with us right after this. JoJo's here, same thing. And we want to remind everybody, resolution, smesolution. Is that a word I can say?
Just bump it back a couple years.
Bump
or
it back.
couple weeks.
That's
couple
it.
Weeks.
That's it.
Just delay the game.
Delay the game
Yep.
is what we're saying. Find the why. That's what we need to do. Thank you so much.
Attack the 1%.
Attack the
right.
1% is right, exactly. Inner circle, small. Okay, you guys have a great one, and Happy New Year.
Thanks,
I can
Doc.
say that. Doc, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was a blast.
It is. Hang in there. We want to talk to you right after this podcast. And for all you at home, guess what? You can join us any given time. Take a look at this right here. You can always check us out, of course, right there on any places where you get your podcasts. Apple. Say it with me, Dylan. Apple.
Spotify and iHeart.
And iHeart. So there you go. And WRBL.com is the video portion of this. So we do have a video portion of our podcast as well. You can check me out over on social media, Facebook, B. Jeswald Community, WRBL. And you can check me out at Twitter, Instagram, same name, same game, same old thing. So let's vary things up here a little bit, and we'll catch you the next time around. See you at the next fitness series or Chattahoochee Challenge, whatever it may be, Doc. And for all you out there, just get started, will you? Get a goal.